That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm
Articulate and intelligent.
Gregg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them offensive as hell.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, fuck that.
Terrible! Bad! Not bad!
Oh, pretty good.
Okay!
Decent.
Fair!
Great.
I loved it!
This sucks.
Yeah, you really gotta wonder how the stuff gets made.
Welcome to the Straight Red Card, the only show where we teach your stepsister the proper way to say Oipen. Yes, it is Oipen. Gaga Selena plays for Oipen. Even though
is that the safety word?
It's the safety word with your stepsister.
Yeah.
It might be the alert word. Mom and dad are coming home. The other thing I bring up Oipen again because so we already mentioned that Pete doesn't say it right and Tack doesn't say it right. Now Jake had a show today and he didn't say it right either. They're all saying any versions of Oipen or Apen or Oipen, but it's not. They don't say Oipen actually. So we'll just cancel that right away. The turd in the background says, "Welcome back to the Straight Red Card. Camp is here. Today is Gio Reyna's birthday, and Gregg didn't get him a cake. That's a shame, but Gio will be eating my wife's cream pie. Come with crabs."
Imitation crab, right?
Yeah. You have seen the restaurants here in town, right? Called Juicy Crab.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, there you go. Comes with Juicy Crab.
Dude, I had mother-in-law's 70th birthday this weekend, and we all went up to Michigan and had this gathering, and everybody brought something in food-wise. And I'm going down the line, grabbing a little bit of everything just to try it, of everything. Like, be nice. Like, I usually wouldn't eat this, but whatever, fuck it, give it a whirl.
Right. Yeah.
And there's this what appeared to be like a no-bake pizza.
Okay.
I forgot what really goes on that type of shit, but it's just like uncooked vegetables and shit like that on it. And grab a piece, and I bite into it, and wife goes, "Oh, you're gonna try that, are you?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Why not? It's just a no-bake pizza, right?" She goes, "Yeah. That's imitation crab on that." And I go,
"Oh,
thought it tasted crappy."
Well, all that is pollock with crab juices.
Ugh.
Yeah, but it's not that bad if you heat it up and you dip it in butter. But you got to heat it up and dip it in real butter.
I feel like you can say that about a lot of things, man. Just whatever. Just cook it to this temperature. Shove it in some butter and eat it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I still don't like the name of that restaurant. I think Juicy Crab is a horrible name for a restaurant.
Yeah. It should be something along the lines of like eat here and get crabs or something like that.
There are a few things I want juicy, but it ain't my crab. I don't want it juicy. I just want it cooked with some butter. Would never name any restaurant Juicy Burgers. I guess a juicy burger's good, right? Yeah. So maybe that works with burgers.
Of course, you want a juicy burger. You want some dried out hamburger patty. It'd be gross. Juicy
ice cream. That sounds kind of gross. Mostly I just don't like the word juicy. That's it. That's kind of the problem. That'd be like that dude who comes back from a date the other night and tells you about, yeah, man, we hooked up, man. She was really juicy. Oh, I don't want to hear that, dude. I'm glad she was, but I don't want to hear about it. Yuck. All right.
Kumar says angry crab here in Vegas.
Angry crab.
Like
itchy crab.
Itchy crab.
That's not good at all. You definitely don't want itchy crab.
What about juicy juice? You want juicy juice?
Depends on what the juice is, Lefty.
There's a lot of high fructose corn syrup in that shit, though, too. So
juice? I mean, juices can describe all kinds of things.
Juicy juice. It's a legit juice you can buy at the store, Derek.
Yeah, I know, but lots of things can be called juice. Like when I go playing golf and my mom misses a putt and it didn't have enough energy and it didn't get to the hole. It didn't have enough juice, right? So you can use that word in many ways.
There's a wide range of uses of it, just like the word fuck.
Well, it looks like there's a lot of ass juice all over the walls of your the particular room that
Yeah,
you're in today.
I've come across some hard times financially.
Hard times, I guess so.
I bet the house on the wrong horse, and the wife and the kids are up at her parents' house.
Okay.
And I'll bounce back.
All right. It just looks like you're stuck in a Russian village somewhere in Kamchatka, and somebody wiped their shit all over the walls.
I couldn't read the street sign, so it's possible.
Maybe you were into that. Anyhow, Judgmental Deity says you want a juicy peach, Derek. I don't eat fruit because it gives me a stomach ache. The only fruit I do eat is tomatoes, and yes, that is a fruit, and that's usually as an accompaniment to something else. Derek, do you like juicy fruit gum? I haven't had that since I was probably 20, but I remember it being pleasant. Is it that bad? I don't remember it being that bad. I know it doesn't last long.
If you're a kid, you what the fuck, the zebra stripe gum? What was that called?
Zebra.
Was it just zebra stripe? Was it zebra
Yeah.
stripes? Okay,
Yeah. Was that any good? I don't remember. Do you often not get to the hole, Derek? To the hole.
Okay, you said it didn't get to the hole. There's not enough juice on it.
Oh, jeez.
Come on, man.
That's not. I'm talking about my mom playing golf with me. Can we not get into that kind of discussion when we're talking about my mom comes into the conversation? Jesus H. Christ.
Hold on. Oh, well, let's pull the bingo cards because incest might be in there.
All right. Before I get going, I do have some congratulations to give out after this.
Greggy.
You ready?
All right.
Even flow all around like butterflies. Oh, we don't know.
It's been a while since you've given us this concert.
I know.
But I'm not seeing it on any of the cards, so that's not a free space anymore.
Hear me spoken.
Go for it.
All right. Oh, I want to congratulate Stowe Bunce. Stowe Bunce is his name. Why am I congratulating Stowe Bunce? Because I'm currently watching the Grand Slam Masters of Darts, which is being played in Wolverhampton, England, and I'm watching it illegally. I don't care. It's just not on US TV, so I have to. And he is the first American to get out of the first. So just like soccer, there's a group of 4, and all of them play against each other. And in this group of 4, he beat the number 2 player and the number 7 player in the world, and he is advancing to the next round. And guess what? He's never done shit in his life. He just actually took the sport up not that long ago. And here he is, this American nobody's ever heard of, going there and kicking ass. Also,
beer in one hand, darts.
Yeah, they take it a lot more serious than that now. But back in the old days, you're right. When they used to have Eric Bristow, he would literally be smoking while he was playing darts, and he'd turn around and then drink a beer.
Man, things were much better back in the day.
Well, there was a guy named Phil Taylor that professionalized the sport because he was so fucking good. He was like into his 50s. From his 20s to his 50s, he dominated the sport of darts for 30 fucking years. And if you weren't on your game, you couldn't beat that dude. Anyhow, I also wanted to congratulate Bo Graves and Fallon Sherrick, both women playing in this tournament. And they both won at least one game in their group, which is saying something because they're playing against men who are ranked in the top 32 in the world. So congratulations to both. And if you're not into darts, I don't care. I had to get that out there. I love darts. Fundamental Deity. Finally, a game we can play. Judgmental. Judgmental. Fundamental Deity. That's a whole nother thing. Finally, a game we can play one-handed. Perfect for multitasking. Yes, it is. I'm a big darts fan. I have been for probably 30 years. Former IU, Indiana University Darts Club champion. That'd be me. Anyhow, so I've been playing it a long time, and I still follow the sport. That's all I have for congratulations. I did want to also congratulate Canada on their 3-0 loss to Uzbekistan in the U17s. Way to go, Canada. All this is to say there is no future after this for Canada. Their U23 suck. Their U17 suck. Their U20 suck. It's going to be a desert for them going forward after this. It's going to be rough going.
We've been there. We did that.
We did it once, right? For the U17s. when we didn't even qualify, which we'll get to later. Also wanted to congratulate New Caledonia, which served the purpose of confirming what I've always said about the U tournaments. There should only be one team from Oceania qualifying for any World Cup. I don't even care if they're 48 fucking teams. Why? Because only New Zealand is worth the shit. Everybody else sucks because they just got their ass murdered by England 10-0. And we warned you when we're going to 48 and we're going to add another Oceania team that those teams are going to get absolutely ass wrecked.
First, I gotta say, you're saying that England just absolutely destroyed an island nation out of the Indonesia area.
Yes, in the U17s.
On top of that, is there an old Macedonia? Was it Macedonia you said?
Caledonia. New Caledonia. It's a small
I don't know
island.
the history behind this, but is there an old Caledonia?
There doesn't often have to be an old one. There just has to
new?
So there's a Caledonia in Scotland. My guess is that when they named this island, they're like, oh, it reminds us a lot of Caledonia. Oh, we'll just call it New Caledonia, kind of like New York and New Amsterdam, you know.
An island out in Indonesia area. All that that really reminds you of Scotland.
Well, I'm sure it didn't. I'm sure they just couldn't figure out a name for it at the time. Or some Scottish guy was the first guy to find it, you know? That's all I can think of.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
I mean, at least New Mexico looks like Old Mexico.
Do we want to talk about Megan Rapinoe here at the beginning at all? And her
I know you.
We're not going to. We don't need to touch that, do we?
Go for it, Derek. I don't have it pulled up, but let's talk about it. Why not? I know. Chris Gary had some choice words. He called her a "see you next Tuesday."
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's for her God comment or for all the things she said in the past. But I mean, if she doesn't believe in God, that's fine. But it's kind of odd how her job, I guess, is to just disenfranchise herself from anybody else that has an opposing point of view, like on the regular. That's what she does. Like, there's a certain, are you a Christian? I'm going to offend you. I mean, do you believe in that? Well, I'm going to offend you by saying this. So, I mean, I don't know what she's thinking. There's no point.
It's one of those things. Like, she made the comment. She's like, I don't really believe in a God, but if there was one, if I did, this would just prove that there isn't one.
No, I know.
Along those lines, and I'm sitting there going like, no, actually, this is pretty good evidence that there is a God. Because
well, that's sad. But there are different religions that believe in different levels of self-determination. There are certain religions that believe God makes you, and then you have to go do what you do, and it's on you to either be moral, immoral, or blah blah blah. They're not hovering over you, protecting you. Mm-hmm. Then there are others that believe your whole life's already planned out, and God has that planned out for you, and there's a reason for everything. So there's different ways to look at this. Either way, I doubt she thought of it in that philosophical sense, because she just opens her mouth and lets it rip. And you know who looked really uncomfortable next to her?
She just started laughing. She was just smiling.
Yes, she did. I mean, she's kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe.
Away, like, drifting further away.
She's like, can I get out of this picture? This, anyhow. Well, whatever. I didn't lose my shit about it, nor do I really. I don't have any dog in that fight. Which, by the way, dog the other way around is God.
I don't know. It just seems like every time she's got a platform and is ready to say something, it's just you sit there and go.
She shits the bed.
Fuck.
Like, okay, you haven't offended those people.
Oh man, I went my entire career without this serious injury. Thank goodness it happened at the end of it. Something like that would have been great. Like, this is a long recovery, but thank goodness this was my last match.
Because God was looking over me for the rest of my career. Oh well.
It doesn't take a lot to make light of that situation. Yes, it sucks to. What was it? Was it an ACL or was it an ACL?
I don't know, but I know this.
Go ahead.
If you're running a company and you need media advice, she's not the one you go to.
But there were just so many other angles to go about this. And
there was the normal angle. Oh, well, I'm really frustrated. Sad it happened. But I had a great career, and now it's time for me to move on with the new part of my life. And by the way, I am drinking tonight. A
Don't flick
chimay.
us off, Derek. Come on. It's a
It's a
kid show.
Chimay. All right.
I've already drank my drink, Derek. See? It's right
Holy
here.
shit.
I already
dude.
drank it. It's gone.
You don't have anything in reserve?
No, this is my choice. I opted for a route of saving money by not getting extra mixers. So
Well, I can see you've already saved lots of money on
tell
the,
you,
repair,
financial ruin here, man. I've got to rebound.
on the repair of your house. You're already saving money there.
I had to sell the house off. Remember, I lost it on the horse.
I didn't know you and EB were into scat either, because obviously something's going on.
No,
with it.
she's not here. Remember, we not listening earlier. Her and the kids are up at her parents' house. I had to move in here because we lost the house.
All
I'm
right.
gonna rebound. Don't worry, I'll get her back. She's not. She said she's gonna give me like 3 weeks.
Did you hire a scat hooker?
Don't worry, this place will look phenomenal next week. I'll make it look nice. By Thursday, this place will look much better.
Are you going to lick it off the walls?
I mean, I don't think there's running water, so I might have to.
Okay.
Well,
We can get to the real topics of the show now.
no, of course not. While we're talking about
Okay.
where the Brett is currently living,
Yes.
Filippo decided to quote tweet this out of context human race handle.
Okay.
They're asking what's the worst state
What
in the United States?
US? Okay. What did he say?
Well, he said it's a question where everyone will respond based off their politics and not an actual opinion based on being or living at the state mentioned. Coming from a guy that has lived in California, Texas, New York, and Florida, the states that were mentioned the most, basically saying those 4 states were mentioned the most for political reasons in the comment section. I went through the comment section and I noticed a lot of people saying stuff like, "Oh man, I would hate to like live in Alaska. That'd be miserable. It's cold and dark a lot." I'm like, well, I guess it depends on what you're looking for. Some people enjoy living an isolated life where they can go hunting and fishing and they don't have to deal with stupid assholes at roundabouts and
Right.
that.
Depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah. Some people said, "Hey, man, I lived in Illinois. That was a miserable place. The weather was awful, but then they never maintained their roads." And then I had to set them correctly on that too, because I'm like, well, hey, the problem with Indiana, Michigan, probably Ohio, I'm guessing, and also Illinois, when it comes to roads, is during the winter when it's constantly thawing and freezing, thawing and freezing, thawing and freezing.
Crack.
That it cracks, and that's where all these ginormous potholes come from.
Yeah.
So I just set them straight on that. Hey. It's not. It could be Illinois' problem or fault for not fixing them, but I think it's an issue of limited resource, and a lot of that resource has to do with time. You can't fix all the potholes.
Like your house. I would say I couldn't pick a whole state because there's no state where the whole state sucks, right? There's like parts of a state that suck. There are cities that once were amazing that are falling to pieces. A lot of those in California, obviously. So it also depends on what you're looking for, but I could think that I would say the one thing I wouldn't want to live in is a big fucking massive city. Like I couldn't stand living in New York City. Like that would drive me nuts.
You watch your mouth.
Indiana is clearly the worst.
You know what? I went through the entire comment section, not a single Indiana mentioned. And I'm not saying that means that we're not the worst, but we're definitely not everybody's first worst.
Right.
And
so
I obviously grew up and lived in Indiana my entire life. I know a lot of people who live here who bitch and complain about Indiana, but what is wrong with Indiana?
There's really not much.
There's really not. Yeah, I understand. To your point, I would hate to live in a big city. There was a point in my life where I was like, oh, I would love to live in Chicago or a bit the city. But as I've gotten older, I'm sitting here going like, I don't want to deal with that shit. I don't want to deal with the traffic. I hate nosel traffic.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a big non-fan of bad traffic, so I wouldn't survive in a big city. I really wouldn't. So
BMR racism's not so prevalent here anymore.
Yeah,
it's still here, but it's everywhere. Come on.
I mean, there's a little everywhere.
Come on.
I mean, all right, Larry. So yeah, I wouldn't
kind of agree. Racism is kind of dead, except for the U.S. men's national team, right, Larry?
So yeah, I wouldn't be able to pick a state really. I wouldn't want to live in Alaska, but man, you could say the same thing about living in fucking Minnesota during the winter. It's cold as fucking a witch's titty. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to be anywhere near that place. At the same time, I don't like. So for me, like the Midwest is perfect. I don't like a lot of swampy shit. So Florida wouldn't be for me.
Yeah.
Although not all of Florida swampy. That's why picking a whole state's ridiculous, right?
All right.
You're not going to win.
I need to address this. The KKK was not founded in Indiana. We just had the biggest group of them.
Yes. So in the 1920s, yes. I mean, I once did a report when I lived in Bloomington, and of course, I did a lot of work for the Historical Society, and I found all the old KKK documents. And in the I think it was 1923, 50% of the white men in the county were a part of the Ku Klux Klan members.
Dude, Hancock County, where I grew up and lived, they had the largest Ku Klux Klan group.
Well,
I imagine that was just everybody at that time period that lived there were probably part of it. But
well, and it existed well into the 80s because I've told the story before in the 85, 86 when I was at Fort Knox, when I was at Fort Knox High School, and our tennis team traveled to West Hardin, I believe it was West or East. I know that their logo had it was Yosemite Sam dressed up as a Confederate. Let's just put it that way. That was their logo for the school. And I remember, first seed, our first seed had to play their first seed, blah, 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 all the way down the line. And our seventh seed was, an African-American dude. And their seventh seed said, I ain't playing a black guy. And we were all like, what? What the fuck? Because we were Army kids. And we just had never heard anything like that before. And, but yeah, so in the 80s, still alive and well in Hardin, Kentucky. That's for sure. So yeah.
I'm allowed to laugh at my state's history.
I didn't remember. You didn't laugh at anything I was talking about.
No, I was laughing a lot at the chat's comments more so than anything. But no. So the funny thing is that my nephews or my brother's kids all went to Warren Township, which is just inside Indianapolis, outside of Hancock County, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother's middle kid ended up leaving Warren his senior year to go to New Pal, which is just right across the street, right across the divide, basically. And New Pal, which happens to be, was historically throughout the early 1900s, was one of the larger towns. I guess I'm not gonna say cities because that'd be an affront to cities in Hancock County. And they're do you know what New Pal's mascot is? Still to this day,
I have no idea.
they're the Red Dragons.
Oh, okay.
Still to this day.
All right. Well, that's hey, dude.
Great history. But you know what? Yeah, there are certain pockets where there's probably a little more racist parts of Indiana, but as a whole,
I mean, obviously it was at a time. I mean, you have towns in Indiana named Whitestown, or was it Whiteland? Right?
the Whiteland, yeah.
That was a little warning to you if you wanted to move there, if you weren't white, right? This is Whitestown.
Hey, you know,
okay?
just up 31. You know, about half mile off of 31. There's we have an entire city called Mexico, so we can't be that racist.
Okay. I wasn't looking for a joke there, but all right.
A little bit. Come on, it has to be.
I don't know why they named it Mexico.
Because they got this massive arrow off the highway. It's not even an interstate yet, but off the highway it says Mexico, half a mile that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'd like to look up why they named it that. It might be that, somebody came from there and settled there. So there we go.
You know, again, I know Michigan during the season of farming and everything, all that shit, like just like that 6 month window, they bring in a lot of documented workers to help out throughout there. So I almost wonder if there's even a portion to that where there maybe that might have been like, say, like a little Mexico of rural Indiana, if you will.
Well, let's also keep in mind that the French obviously colonized Mexico. And then when they lost and Mexico became an independent country, many of the French left. And many of the French that left came to the United States. And one of the places you could settle down was good old Indiana. So it could be somebody who's of French descent, maybe named it Mac. Because there were lots of French people who settled Indiana, obviously. I mean, that's very obvious by all the names that we have. Anyhow, let's move on to soccer.
Well, okay, so if you had to pick one of the 50 states, and this is a personal preference or whatever, what would you say? I'll go ahead and lean on to mine. I hate the heat. And I couldn't stand the heat. So when I hear, and nothing against Texas for that matter, but when I hear hey, the at field heat index for FC Dallas game is like 112. Like, fucking murder me now.
Yeah, Arizona, kind of the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Arizona during the winter, and it was 65 degrees, and everybody was bundled up, and I'm like, dude, where's the pools, man? Open up.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, I guess I'd go with you on that because again, it's hard for me to pick a whole state to say is the worst state. I don't like extreme cold and I don't like extreme heat, which is why the Midwest is perfect.
Exactly. You get into. I bring up Florida. BMR brings up Florida. Florida has that humidity problem too. So when you get away from the coasts, all of a sudden you're dealing with the heat and the humidity. That's gonna be miserable for the most part too.
Right.
Unless you live there, you're used to it, of course. This
question is so general. It doesn't say here are the factors that you need to take into account before you pick your state. And obviously, a lot of people are going to use their politics. You can't blame a fucking state, like the land itself, for the politics that happened in the state. Like that's like blaming an abandoned house for being abandoned and rotting away, like the one you're in. Like that's not the house's fault. It's the motherfuckers who didn't take care of it. So the house itself, had it been taken care of, would have been just fine. And actually, you can fix it up. Here's me, preservationist, obviously.
You know what else I like about the Midwest? There are very limited things that are trying to kill you.
Yeah, no alligators, no bears.
Here in Indiana, we have 2 snakes and 2 spiders that are poisonous. Outside of that,
that's
nothing.
It. I love that.
An occasional coyote, whatever. You turn on a back porch light and they scurry away.
Or no friends who are asking me to go out to the ocean on a boat and fish. Like, no, fuck no, I'm not doing that, dude. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I don't want anywhere near sharks. Anywhere near them. All right.
Yeah, there are tornadoes, although we're on the tail end of the tornado alley. So we get some, but those all skirt north and south of the greater Indianapolis area. So I mean, you live in the rural parts west of Indianapolis, that you might get some then, or even south of Indianapolis, right up 37 to Bloomington usually gets pegged.
Yep.
We also do have an abundance of meth heads in the Midwest. That's very true.
That goes. I mean, all the way out into Pennsylvania as well. And most people don't consider Pennsylvania as part of the Midwest. Some people do, but I don't.
But every region has their crappy drug of choice that ruins the area.
Yeah, they even call parts of Pennsylvania Methylvania. So it's not just us, and that problem's prevalent just about anywhere where you have rural America or small town America. But it's also, we've got the other problems too, right? Yep. So opioids.
No killer wasps. Those are all in the Northwest. Thank God they can stay there.
Yeah.
Have you seen those things, man?
Yeah, they're giant. I don't
want
them.
Oh my God, I would have a heart attack. I swear to God.
Yeah.
I hate the stupid paper wasp that we get, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't like those either.
They're just always aggro and they fucking suck.
Okay. Well, I think we spent enough time on this one. Thank you, Filippo.
Let's go to a soccer topic.
All right, let's do it.
We've talked about beforehand the food that is offered around stadiums worldwide, and we compare it to our own. We joke, but it's also very true, how everything's so goddamn expensive here in the States when it comes to stadium food and drink.
Right.
So what if I were to say, Derek, what could you possibly get at an Indy 11 game for? I mean, we've talked about for £5. That's roughly about $5, more or less
nowadays.
Yeah. So for $5, what could you get at the Indy 11 game?
A beer.
Beer.
And maybe not even that.
Maybe that actually, probably more like a box of popcorn.
Cheap ass can of beer too, not the good stuff. Oh God, what
On
is
this-
that?
Sorry, this is a Philly cheesesteak at Sheffield Wednesday.
Well, you're in England. What else do you expect?
That's $5 right there, man.
That's gross.
And Larry, I love the fact that you even called it out before I brought it up. Fascinating. You must have been paying attention to my feed.
Not much cheese on that cheesesteak, or onions, or
Seriously, it's just a little bit of that's fried at the bottom here. What the hell? I mean, that that is got to be the most bland thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but that's kind of England. For a lot of bland food there, and that's not across the board. There are great restaurants in England, so I'm told. Right, but
Yeah.
if I'm going to get something, I'd probably get their pies, right?
Timur
Because
did have it right. He's right. Yeah.
the pies they do well.
I mean,
the
it's something they're
shepherd's
known for. I
pies.
mean,
Right.
but I'm sure they go to the state and they necessarily don't want to go there and just get fish and chips because they get that everywhere.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
get pies everywhere. I mean, they
But
kind of want to go there and have something a
yeah.
little special, a little off the wall, if you will.
Well, a little
Add some
spotted,
shit to them, man.
little spotted dick.
Yeah, get some spotted dick in there.
Yeah. All right. Next.
All right, well, that's all the fluff I got. You want to start
That's
talking
good.
about some games?
Yes, it's 30 minutes in. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, fuck. If you're not gonna bring it up, I'll go and bring it up. I guess. Let's talk about the Juve game.
Okay. Yeah. Juve.
One of the few
I
matches
mean,
I got to watch this game.
I mean-
because I was up in Michigan all weekend.
this is almost getting into Yanks Abroad, right? But
Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about. Yeah.
okay, let's do that then. But Juve, listen, again, it's terrorism soccer. It's hard to watch, but I will say I watched it again because I want to watch McKennie play, and I thought McKennie, honestly, looked like one of the best players on that pitch.
Yeah.
And that's all I care about. And if he's playing well and he's in great form, then we can all look forward to him
So-
coming to the U.S. men's national team.
We joke and we constantly say stuff like terrorism.
It's bad.
Juve is suffering from the same problem that Berhalter Ball suffers from. They do all the stuff in the defense, they move it up in the midfield, but then they fuck it all up and they don't know what to do in the final third.
No, they're horrible in the final
It's like
third.
there was a stat. I was watching the game today. And there was a stat the announcer said, like, oh, Juve is the most accurate crosser in the final third of all of Serie A. I'm like, well, they're not doing shit with it.
They're not.
Good
They
Lord.
they win 1-0, right? Again, I can't remember the score. Obviously, Weah didn't play; he's injured. But here's what Allegri said on McKennie. Weston is having a good season.
2-1.
2-1. Okay, I think he is maturing too after the experience on loan. I spoke to him. He has physical strength that helps cover a few technical errors, but when running into space, he is a badass. He can be devastating. Yes, because he did that throughout the game.
Yeah.
And man, I didn't really know he was that fast. He can be fast as fuck.
Dude, yeah. That was something that was made more apparent each match progressing.
Yeah.
His recovery this match was phenomenal.
He looks in great shape.
Oh yeah.
He really does.
Italy seems to suit him.
Yeah.
Do Weston. I know you watch our show from time to time. Do not go back to England. Stay in Italy. You're fine.
Yeah, I guess the pasta isn't what's
Lord.
plumping him up. But yeah, he looks in. He
It's not
looks.
process shit. It's all au naturel.
You remember when he rarely played a full 90. Now he plays full 90s all the time.
Busting his ass up and down that pitch. Yeah, he, like you said, he's in great form right now.
He's great fitness. Yeah.
And I know. Tack mentioned this, but coming into this window, he might be the most informed player.
He is. I can't think of
down.
anybody else. Because I mean, I would have said like Musa's looking pretty good too until that last game. If we're going to get into Yanks Abroad, Musa played like doo doo. He did not have a good game.
When did he come into the match?
I think last 20 minutes. I'd have to look it up.
That's fair enough,
Let me see. It's on my sheet, and maybe we should go in the order on my sheet, right? And that way, I won't have to look all over for the answers.
Is he fast or is Serie A slow? That's fair
I
enough.
mean, he looks pretty quick,
Yeah.
and he's just always one step ahead. Like he always knows where the ball needs to go next, which is impressive because a lot of his teammates don't look that way.
Yeah. In the first half, he had a nice play where a ball was kind of not necessarily crossed over to him. He was on the right hand side. Can be also pushed into midfield. But the ball was played across the pitch to him, and it was going to be short. And then he ended up cutting the defender off, chested it down, and in one touch, crossed the ball back to Keane. And it was just a smidge off. Like the defender just barely got ahead to it.
Yeah.
But it was just like the awareness of getting to the ball first, which is something I've always yelled at the screen of watching what players. I'm like, move to the fucking ball. But he moved to the ball, and then he laced a nice would have been an opportunity on goal. But I think Keane was actually offside, but he didn't touch the ball. He didn't actually contribute to anything in that play. But he almost scored on that play too, because the ball went far to the left and it was crossed back over, and he just missed the post.
Yeah. I would also say it was nice to get him to see him play midfield instead of right wing back.
He sort of flip-flopped throughout the match.
He's been great at both.
Yeah.
And whereas Musa got flopped all over the field this weekend as well, he looked lost and uncomfortable being moved around the field. McKennie never looks out of sorts.
And the one thing I've noticed with McKennie's game right now is that Juve is actually looking for him.
Oh, no, his teammates love him. They trust him. It's not like, I mean, we watch some players and they're just begging for the fucking ball, and they just
we talk about it when it happens, but I can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that was the thing I noticed, especially over the weeks, has just been like obviously he's the life of the team outside of when he was at Leeds, because that was just, I feel like that was just miserable all around.
Right.
But he's when he's in turn, he's clearly the life of the team. He's buddied up with everybody, and it shows on the pitch.
Right.
So.
Well, and it's, again, I already talked about Musa. Aaronson's the guy that people don't necessarily like passing the ball to at Union Berlin. And I mean, I texted you actually when I came over to,
because it's not helping them anyways.
Well, right. I came over to pick up my FIFA 2023 game that you have. And what I tell you, don't even bother watching the Union Berlin game. It was total garbage. And it was.
I assumed that he didn't start and he'd probably just get bit minutes at the end. I'm like, yeah.
Well, that's what he got. But again, he's not going to come in and make a difference in the game. He's not a game changer.
Yeah.
He'll run his ass off for you, and he did in this game, but he always does that. Again, I know a lot of people are hearing this or saying this, and I don't know if we're the ones being like the main purveyors, but it doesn't mean we don't like Brendan. Brendan's a great kid. He's just, he might have hit a ceiling.
Well, again, if Salzburg is his ceiling, that's perfectly fine. Again, he was never more confident with the national team than when he was with Salzburg. Once he was no longer there, all of a sudden his confidence drained, and he was not the player he was when he first started. When we first started calling him up.
He should have stayed with Leeds, which is what I said back. I said it would be good for him to have a rough, tough season playing in a rough league where he'd have to toughen up a bit playing in the championship. Well, now he's in Germany, and he's just doing the same shit he did at Leeds for the last, 70% of the season. Not much. And it doesn't help him that now he's on another team that right now looks like they're headed towards relegation, which is just shocking. It really is.
I think Attack had put out the stat that Union Berlin have lost 13 out of their last 14 games. In the one game they didn't lose, they tied.
I've watched all 14 of those games, so imagine the agony I've had to go through. And you have to wonder at this point, since Behrens has fallen out of favor there at Union Berlin, if they wish they would have kept Pifak, because man, I don't know. That stretch that Pifak and Becker went on at the beginning of last season, before Pifak got injured, if they could find that chemistry again, because it doesn't seem like there is any chemistry on that team. That's the sad thing. Anyhow, yeah. So that wraps up how Aronson played. He was there.
Yeah,
that's about it.
I almost wonder if Pifak continues when once his twig and giggleberries heal up.
Right.
I wonder if he continues the form that he's at with Gladbach, whether or not they're going to want to try to purchase him from Union. I mean, I guess if Union's getting relegated, they're more than willing to offload him at that point. Yeah,
if they get relegated, they're going to have to let go of a lot of guys. Becker would be one of them, first one that comes to mind. He's just not the same. there's no chemistry on that team. Absolutely no offensive chemistry whatsoever, and obviously not much in the defense. Did they play a good team? Yeah, they did. They played one of the best teams in the league going
13
right
to 14, Derek. You can't say that.
What? What do you mean?
Well, they've lost 13 of the last 14 games. It doesn't matter who they played this last match. They've literally sucked it up the last 14 games.
Yeah. It really hasn't mattered who they played, but
Yeah.
I don't think they played Darmstadt yet in that stretch. I don't think they played other
that one game.
Other poor teams yet. I think they still got to play some of the bottom teams. But regardless, they look poor regardless. So,
real quickly, I do want to jump back to Milan because I had something pulled up that I didn't bring up at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We got some potential coaching news for Milan.
I wouldn't be opposed to that either. But Graham Potter?
Yeah, that was when you started saying I wouldn't be opposed to that. I'm like, what?
No. I'm sorry. No. Listen, Milan's a massive team. Graham Potter was great when he was with Brighton, but when he got a chance at Chelsea, he showed he could not handle the big club.
I couldn't imagine Milan going out and getting Graham Potter as the coach. I feel like there'd be an uproar.
Doesn't speak Italian either. How many English coaches in the last 20 years have coached in Italy? Like, I can't even think of one off the top of my head. So I don't think that's happening. So great Milan. I think maybe you forgot some context about like how rare that would be. And B, the context of how Graham Potter fared while at Chelsea, which was not good.
Plus how he screwed over your best player right now.
And the other thing about him is he's a guy that fiddle fucks around a lot with the lineup. Like, that's one of the problems with Graham Potter. It was a different 11 every fucking game.
I'm sure Loftus-Cheek would be happy for him to come too.
I doubt any of those guys want him. Giroud, Loftus-Cheek, Pulisic. No, they don't want Graham Potter. Tamori. None of those guys want fucking Graham Potter.
We fucking left the country because of them.
Yes, exactly. Or, in many cases, some of them left before he was there. But
sure.
All right. What else?
Let's finish up Yanks Abroad because then we got our normal talking point or U17s and all that shenaniganry.
Yeah. So Koleosho went 80 versus Arsenal, was involved in one of the goals. Okay. But if you've been watching Koleosho this whole season, you probably shouldn't be like juicing up your walls, i.e., because listen, he doesn't have to make the decision anytime soon, but we see it all over X, right? Oh, we got to get him. Well, yeah. Gregg's working on it. Okay, number one. But number two, he's not the bee's knees yet. He's still learning. He's like 19 years old. Will he get better? Yes, but there's time for him to get better, and then there's time for him to make the decision as well. Let's see if he gets better. He probably will. He's not bad, but I mean, is he a really great Premier League player? Hell no, he's just not. So a lot of people out there are a little extra excited. I'm going to move on to Scally and Paredes, by the way, who played each other. Scally got an assist in that game, and of course they won. P-Fockless, they won the game. Paredes and Wolfsburg are not.
Handedly too.
Yeah. Paredes and Wolfsburg they're not looking good lately, and I don't know what's going on there. Paredes played okay. He played okay. I wouldn't say he played bad. He just wasn't a major contributor in the game. So I don't know. So there's a review on that. Toljan went 90 for Sassuolo. Luca De La Torre came in for the last 20 for Celta. The bad news for him is that team is sitting near the bottom, and they're going to be struggling all season again. The good news is he's going to play. He came back from the injury, immediately got the 20 minutes, which usually means that's sort of like a prep. But the question is, when's the new manager coming? Because if this continues, there's going to be a new manager coming. And then will Luca De La Torre remain a everyday starter when he's healthy? Brian Reynolds.
It's hard to argue against it though, because all the matches I haven't seen of his, I have sat down and watched some of his, obviously, but all the matches I haven't seen when he plays, he's predominantly deemed one of the best players on the pitch.
He has been. He's sort of
midfield, but
it's definitely a little field general out there. Brian Reynolds went 90, got an assist for Westerlo. Griffin Yao also started. So we haven't talked a lot about Griffin Yao, but he started as one of the two strikers up top. He went 70 minutes before being pulled. Somebody just to keep an eye out on. And they did, it was a tie game, I believe, but they played against St. Truden, who, by the way, also started an American up top. Center forward, Kaveh Deslam. Zahir Deslam. That's really hard to pronounce. He is a 21-year-old kid. He's kind of tall and lanky. He went 75 minutes. He got an assist. I think he got an assist in that tie. So somebody else to keep an eye on. I know it's Belgium, but I mean, it's not like after Balogun and Pepe, there's still a battle going on in case we ever take three center forwards. So he's, like I said, he's young. He came from the Dianza Force Academy. He has started 3 games and he's played in 5 so far this season. So he's worked himself into the starting lineup lately. So we'll keep an eye on him. Matt Turner in the 18. I guess the good news for him is Vlachadinos gave up 3 goals, right? Although only one of them were one that I would say he had a chance to save. I mean, the other ones, I don't think so. I don't think Matt Turner would have saved him if he was there either. Although I will say this, the thing about Matt Turner that I notice on corner kicks is he's much more aggressive and he comes out and punches the ball out of the box. Vlad does not do that shit. He just, I mean, both of the goals. So I guess in that case, the 2-headed goals, you're like, why didn't he come out of his box and go for the ball? Be strong and get up in the air and punch that shit out, because they weren't far out from the 9. And you're like, wow, this guy's not aggressive at all. So we'll see if that helps Matt. Never wish bad games on people, but hey, Chris Richards in the 18 didn't play. Leonard Maloney went 60. Somebody said he came out with like a nick or a bump. Nevertheless, they lost to Bayern. No shocker there, but they gave it a good fight for a little while. Reina went 30 versus Stuttgart. Yeah, that was just bad and poor. I mean, another game that was hard to watch, by the way, and that's because I just don't like the way Terzic sets up. And I don't necessarily like, you had Reina kind of playing in this middle-ish, right-ish kind of spot, but he didn't get really involved. And then he moved over to the other side. And yeah, I mean, whenever he had it, he looked really fluid, like normal. Reina, he doesn't give up balls easily. He always makes the right decision, the right pass. But yeah, I mean, Dortmund looked fucking horrible. What a horrible game to watch. Hard to watch. Fortunately, there are a lot of those games this week. Haji Wright, go ahead.
No, I was laughing because, yes, that's basically my consensus as well.
Yeah. Haji Wright went 90 against Gooch Stoke, who Gooch came in and played the last 10. Not worth watching, man. Got to tell you. Another tie, scoreless tie. Snorefest. And then we've got Reggie Cannon did not dress, and it didn't list him as injured for QPR. Charlie Kelman came in for extra time. John Brooks is officially benched. Second game in a row. No list, no reports of any injuries or knocks.
Third game in a row, though?
Second. Yeah. He was yanked out of one of the other games at halftime.
Okay, that could have been it then.
And that was like 4 games ago, right? So something's building up there. We'll see how that goes. And it's really odd that Gregg mentions Brooks, and then he goes 2 games with being benched.
He did that on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, on Jake's show, they're like, oh, and these podcasters, just because Gregg mentioned Brooks, you know, you can't pretend there's not something going on there. We've already laid out the history. We've laid out all the things that happened. So yeah, there's something going on there.
Well, what was Jake's crew saying?
Jake was just basically saying, despite, no, he didn't say this literally, but it sounded like what he was saying was, despite all the things that these podcasters say, Gregg's still talking about Brooks. That's talk. Talk is cheap. Talk means nothing. Talk is deceiving. It's deceptive. Jesus.
He talked about Brooks ever since the day that he removed him from the list permanently.
And
Every
even while
window he talked about, he's like,
Yes.
he's got back spasms. He's in bad form. We've given him a couple things he needs to work on.
And who else talked about Brooks? BJ talked about Brooks. He had to talk about him 2 days in a row or 2 press conferences in a row because the answer he gave the first time was poor. And so he had to clarify the second time. We covered that here. So even BJ, when BJ was running the team, had to talk about Brooks. All right. So talking about Brooks doesn't mean dick. Doesn't mean dick. All right. By the way, we'll hear from Matarazzo. I'm sure at some point somebody in the press there at Hoffenheim are going to say, how come Brooks is benched? And then maybe we'll get some sort of report on why that is. But right now it's not an injury. How is Coventry Haji different from
Groningen
Pepe? Groningen Pepe scored a lot of fucking goals. A lot. Haji, started off good, then disappeared, then got a tap in recently. I don't know. It doesn't look like he's like a given starter. Maybe he won that spot back, but we'll see.
And even then, I guess assuming else talking about as far as with the U.S. national team, I guess the biggest point there is that Pepe's got history. He's got a history with the Nats, scoring goals. Haji under Berhalter has not shown well.
Eye test.
And, so it's just it would take a lot for Haji to be considered at this point.
Eye test.
Whether you like it or not.
Eye test. Sorry. Watch them play. Watch what they both do well.
Yeah. He scored in a similar fashion that Zardes scored with his back and his nutsack, right?
Right.
If I recall correctly.
Yeah, I wouldn't put too much stock in that accidental goal. Listen, if you like Haji, then ride the bus with him. I'm sure stick with him, ride the Haji train. But I'm just telling you, the eye test tells you everything you need. Could Haji go play at PSV right now? No, I don't think so. Is there a Bundesliga team that was ever interested in Haji? There was because he started there, right? I just don't think with the eye test, you see a player like Haji just doesn't have some of the technical ability that Pepe does. Pepe reads the field better than Haji does, honestly. One of the things Haji had over Pepe for a while was his hold-up play, but we can only see it in Turkey, so we didn't know really how good it was. I don't know. Haji's going to have to do something, man. He's going to have to be in the discussion. He's going to have to kill it at Coventry City, and he's not killing it. He's not even killing it in the way DK did when he went over there. He's not even at DK levels of killing it in the championship yet. He's got to get to that level before people start talking about him again.
Coventry is sitting at 16 points, which is 5 points off relegation.
Yeah.
So,
and he hasn't.
I don't want to talk negative about any of the players. I feel like Haji could step up and play well with the Nats. He knows enough of the players that there's got to be some level of chemistry there. But if we're talking about bringing 2 players at this point,
that's it. 2. That's all you got. Where was I? Oh, we'd already talked about Musso and Pulisic didn't play, obviously, because he's injured. McKennie went 90 in a win. We already talked about that. Slanina went 90 for Eupen in a loss. No big surprise there. They're not a good team. Fosse's injured. Their standard Liège. Sam Vines was injured for Antwerp. Oh, your homeboy Mendes went 10 for Vizela. Johan Gomez, 90 and a goal in a win for Braunschweig, which is rare. So, because they're sitting near the bottom of the table. Balogun, 20 in a tie. Man, Balogun needs to, I hope this doesn't go on much longer because I can't imagine it's gonna immediately affect his confidence because he's the kind of kid that bounces back. But I mean, another iffy game. Benji McKell. Remember Benji McKell from Orlando? We forgot.
I didn't remember his last name, but yes, I do know Benji. Yes.
Plays for Arica in Portugal. He's played a whole 7 minutes this season. So we can mark him off the board. Here, I won't ever cover him again. Oh, by the way, when Balogun played, he played against Le Havre. In Le Havre, guess who they have now? Emmanuel Sabi. He's been there all season. I just forget to talk about him. He's played in 9 games. He subbed in 7 times. He started 2 of those games. No goals this season. But he went the last 20 in this game as well for Le Havre. So I guess if we're going to cover Balogun, who's in League we probably should at least cover Emmanuel Sabi. Seems fair, even though I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. I'll skip some of these smaller players. Dietz and Green went 90 in a win for Greuther Fürth. Terrence Boyd went 90 and an assist in the loss for Kaiserslautern. Lund went 7 minutes in a loss for Palermo. Zendejas 90 in a tie. Maurice Malone 30 minutes for Basel. They're in last in Switzerland. Not good. Not good. Oh, by the way, when Reina was playing Stuttgart, I noticed that the coach of the Stuttgart team was named Hernes. Hernes was his last name. I thought, Hernes? I know that name. Yes, I know his name. His dad was Dieter Hernes, who played alongside Karl-Heinz Rummenigge and some of the greats of the German teams in the 80s. So I knew that name just sounded familiar. Already talked about Pepe. Did we talk about Pepe got 12? That doesn't really matter. But Dest and Tillman. Dest was really good. He went 78, got an assist, obviously, to Tillman, and a great boom, 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 boom outside the box and then inside the box for Tillman. It was like, dirt cheap time, right? Because they were going to kill that team. But still, great play interchange between the two, worth mentioning. Oh, by the way, Fontana was on the bench for Zwolle. This is the team they beat. He didn't get to play, but that's not a surprise. He hasn't played all season. Jedi and Ream both went 90 in a loss. Jedi scored against his own team, but also got an assist. It wasn't the best performance for both of those guys. I hope they turn it around. I hope they're not unraveling at Fulham. Obviously, my favorite team. But I am worried. Because that's not the kind of game they would lose that like that in the past. CCV 90 in a win against Polvara of Aberdeen. Polvara went 78. Obviously, CCV went 90. I mean, what a massive destruction of Aberdeen. It was a total, absolute destruction of the team. Conrad was in the 18 for Ibar, but did not play. We warned you. Paxton Aronson didn't play. Chandler was in the 18, didn't play. McKenzie went 90 in a win. Booth, 60, and then pulled out injured. I don't know how bad it's going to be. We talked about this in regards to the Olympic team. Is the injury bad enough that he won't join? Mihailovic in the 18 didn't play. Not surprised. And that Sebastian Soto did not dress for Klagenfurt. And Bello went 10 for last. Johnny went 80 in a loss for International. And Pukstas went 90 and a goal and a win for Hajduk Split. And that, my friends, is what happened this weekend. We still got other things to cover, but that covers mostly. If we forgot somebody, let us know.
Yeah. Man, chat has gone crazy. Ever since we were talking about Pepe and Haji until just now, they're still talking about it.
There's something to talk about. Gregg's pretty much made his decision for now. And the only way that's going to change is if Haji kicks fucking ass, takes names, scores goals. That's the only way that's going to change. So that's not even up to us. Doesn't matter what we think. That's up to Gregg. And Gregg's made his choice.
And I guess, and even looking at just the stats, because I know the stats are not necessarily a good indication as far as comparing one player to another, or even just looking at games, quite frankly. I hate when we sit there and look at the stats and this person had a bad game because look at the stats. You have no idea what happened in that game. But as far as just U.S. games are concerned, Pepe has I'm looking at transfer market right now. He has 18 games and 9 goals. He's scoring 1 goal every 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
He has significantly more minutes in those games than Haji does in his 7 games. I understand that, and that's why I hate looking at just stats.
Whoa. Haji's got more time this season than Pepe.
No. For the U.S.
For the
For the
U.S.
U.S., Haji has seven caps and only 2 goals. One of them being in the World Cup. Yes, it was a World Cup. A goal is a goal is a goal. I'll give you that much, but it was still a really lucky goal in that sense. But
it's lucky.
He still scored a goal, so props to him on that front. And his other goal happened because of a PK. I think Pulisic gave him, right?
Yes.
That was the other one.
Hand him the ball.
But I understand he has played significantly less minutes for the U.S. national team. So again, looking at those raw numbers, not the greatest by any means. Looking at his time at Coventry, he's played 16 matches, scored 4 goals, 1 assist. He's played a total of 808 minutes. People were comparing his time against Pepe at Groningen, where he played for 29 matches, and that's still 11 matches away. But he had 12 goals and 3 assists with just shy of 2,500 minutes. So I mean, it's not apples to apples. Even comparing those two, you can't compare those two. It's not happening.
Use stats to make your decision here. First of all, they played in totally different leagues. You could argue actually the championship in many ways is more difficult.
Yeah.
So you can make that argument based on that, but you also have to use your fucking eye test. Are you folks out there watching Haji Wright play at Coventry City? Did you watch him this weekend? Did you watch how clueless Coventry City are in the final third and how he isn't really helping that cluelessness? Whereas, obviously Pepe's playing on the best team in Holland right now. And so whenever he comes in, it's usually cleanup hour. And so he's getting easy goals. So you can't use that either as a barometer. So the only thing I would tell you to use as a barometer is Gregg. Gregg realistically has made his choice right now about who his top 2 are, and someone's going to have to kick them off their perch. And the only way they're going to do that is if Haji goes out and dominates for Coventry City in the championship. It's the only way he's going to get his job back.
So I'll ask who scored when it mattered. Well, Haji scored against Holland. No, not disagreeing with you at all on that.
Didn't matter enough.
Pepe wasn't offered the opportunity to do so. But to say that,
Pepe saved his ass in qualifying.
Thank you. Beat me to the punch there. Yeah. Pepe definitely saved Berhalter's ass in qualification.
Mm-hmm.
One, helping out against the rebound against Honduras in Honduras. Single-handedly won. I say single-handed. Obviously, it's a team sport, but he got both goals against Jamaica at home. So take it for what it's worth, guys. I mean, these are 2 totally different strikers playing different positions, and quite frankly, I've been more impressed with Pepe at the 9 or at the 10 or at the 9. Let me rephrase that again. Than Haji was with US.
And if you're gonna go about using stats and just like the most recent information on stats and who's scoring goals in the toughest of those leagues, it would be PFOC. I'm sorry, but PFOC's has done really well for Gladbach.
I think that's the big talking point there. Is I would like to see PFOC give another opportunity.
Well, he's not going to get one unless he gets healthy and continues to do what he does. And yet that might not even change Gregg's mind. Let's be really honest. When Gregg picks his guys, you got to knock him off the perch. Look how long it took to get Morris and fucking rolled on off this team. How long did we have to wait for Long to not be on this team? And now finally Zimmerman. It took ages. Gregg finds his dudes. He sticks to them. Except the only guys that got fucked going into the World Cup were Pepe. Pepe got fucked because he took Ferreira instead. And there's no way that made any sense at the time. No. I'm sorry. Spencer Dirty, thank you for the 669. Brandon Vasquez will make a comeback. Transfer to the Bundesliga, score 25 goals plus goals and start in 2026. World Cup squad over Ballo. I'm extremely delusional. Yes, you are. Listen, anything's crazily possible. Listen, who would have thought that Jamie would go play for Leicester and from the bottom of and then take Leicester to a fucking Premier League championship? Yeah. So weird things can happen and become one of the most prolific scorers in the Premier League. So weird shit can happen. So, but that's what you're going to have to be looking for, right? Larry for $2. Thank you, Larry. Can Brendo crash a La Liga team next season? Brendan Aronson? No. He
Can
cannot.
he continue? I think Larry's asking if he can
Can crash him.
Can continue to fail upward. He'll sign for Barcelona next year, guys.
Yeah, I mean, that won't happen, and I doubt he'll be playing. I mean, if he's going to play for anybody, he'll be like the worst La Liga team there. Really, honestly, for indulging my question. Thank you, Al.
Again, Al, I know you're not the biggest Pepe fan, and you can make an argument for Haji.
Yeah.
Again, I laid out the fact that Haji didn't get as many minutes as Pepe. So, I mean, you can make that argument. I mean, he was scoring goals and buckets at Turkey.
So my point was, if you can make an argument for Pifak, Pepe, Haji, then you have to start thinking, but what does Gregg think?
Yeah.
And that when you can make an argument for all three, then you got to start asking, what does Gregg think and what does Gregg want out of his guy? And God help us, because of public pressure and other obvious things, Ferreira didn't get called up, right? But he's made his choice who the other guy is right now. If it isn't Balogun, and right now that's Pepe, the only other guy who gets into this conversation, if he comes back from injury and busts his balls and starts scoring goals like he was for Norwich prior to injury, and that would be Josh Sargent. And then you might have 4 different narratives that you could, and stats you could lay out to make arguments for all 4 of those guys being the other guy other than Balogun. And then what if Balogun just shits the bed for the rest of the season, which I hope doesn't happen in Ligue 1. Well, then there might be some questions there too, right?
What if Pepe got injured? Who do you think he would actually call in at that point?
I don't think Haji's banned, Larry. I really don't. I think Gregg likes Haji. I think Gregg, for the most part, everybody was shocked when he got called to the World Cup. I mean, over Pepe. I mean, a lot of us were surprised by that because Pepe was tearing up fucking Holland on the worst fucking team where he got hardly any service, like Groningen. And then he got fucked. And Haji playing in Talyaspor in Turkey, which, by the way, is a shit league as well. It ain't your grandmother's Turkish league, trust me. Gets called up instead. So, and Gregg explained why. You know, he needed a guy who could be the hold-up guy. And then he needed Ferreira to be the false 9 guy, I guess, because he's not a real
that proved to be a good decision.
Disastrous. And I mean, how naive did Ferreira look in the first half against Holland? All right.
You get pulled out for a midfielder.
I don't think he's banned though, Larry. There are other guys that are banned we talk about on the show all the time. And that'd be Dwayne Holmes, John Brooks, and for a while, Matt Miazga. I know that doesn't fit into your narrative, but believe me, there was something going on between Gregg and Matt. And Matt even talked about it. He said, we didn't see eye to eye. Well, that's not a guy you don't see eye to eye with. Gregg will fuck you in the ass if you don't see eye to eye with him. So just ask Owen Otasawi how that's going to work. And Owen fucked himself in the ass himself, obviously. Yeah. But, I mean, shit. He got out there and got into that conflict about where he's going to play, and he refused to play center back, and he just said, well, then you won't play at all.
I mean, I feel ultimately that was his one opportunity because the fact that you don't play at all for your Club
Bruges,
you'll never be called back in again.
Is he still banished to the 2 team? Does a 2 team even play him? I wonder. I haven't looked.
You're the one that follows that shit more than I do.
I know.
I stopped caring about him a long time ago.
I did too. I even stopped looking it up because I know for a while he got some 2-team Club Bruges youth team starts or not starts minutes.
Wasn't he the guy that was walking on the sideline shooting the t-shirt gun at everybody?
No, he actually got to play. All right.
Of course, he has to do that not wearing a t-shirt too because he's a model.
Right. Some names that were probably keep modeling on the side while he's shooting it. Some names that were probably considered but not chosen for whatever reason. leaving out players still active in MLS playoffs. So are we talking about, are we moving to the U23s now?
We're to the U23 camp, yeah.
The Olympic squad. So Brendan Craig was left out. Caleb Wiley was kind of surprised. Aren't Atlanta out of the playoffs now? I thought they were out of the playoffs. So
I think so. That's what I've heard. I mean,
yeah,
he said leaving out players who were still active. So
Roxas, Pete Pookstis, Jonathan Gomez. Jonathan Gomez plays for what team now? I know in God damn it, one of the lower teams in La Liga. Yeah, he was left out, but that might mean Jonathan Gomez didn't want to make the decision yet. I don't know. Brian Gutierrez was a surprise.
Over the last couple of camps, that was basically no. Johan mentioned that to
his brother mentioned he was surprised that he was called.
He was called up, yeah,
but and not his brother. Like
Diego
said,
was talking about that. That's who was.
Who would have thought? I would have been the Gomez brother that they called up. Brian Gutierrez was surprising. Cameron Harper, I mean, not being called up, that's surprising.
He's got club ties by any means.
Yeah, but if you look at all the guys that weren't called up, whether Luna or Gutierrez, like those are center attacking midfield. Those are CAMs. Obviously, if you look at all our U-teams, including our U17 team that played this weekend, none of them play A10. None. They all play the standard Berhalter 4-3-3 as if it is written in stone, and that is all they're allowed to fucking play.
Yeah.
So there you go. Griffin Yao would have been another second striker, sort of CAM guy. Not going to call that him in. Luna. It's amazing as well as Luna played in the playoffs and carried that fucking RSL team and dragged them through the playoffs that he didn't get called up. It's shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking. So, and then, of course, all to talk about him moving to Europe here soon. And apparently that works for a guy like Miles Robinson, who had kind of a mediocre game there at the end. I know it was one huge mistake that he made in that playoff game. And I get it. That gets blown up. But, I mean, I guess he played most of the game pretty solid, but that you can't make a mistake that large if you're a center back. You can't. You just can't do that because it's like almost center back and goalkeeper have the same sort of problem. If you make a mistake, it is a glaring mistake, right? Everybody knows you fucked up. Whereas if you're not in the same situation as a wing back usually, unless you're Musa in the last game that he just played where he basically was at fault for giving away the goal. Just a horrible turnover, trying to dribble past two guys. Horrible, right in the middle of the field in front of the goal. Can't do that. So on occasion, yes, a midfielder can get caught out too. Chris Johnson, there was a tweet that said Luna asked out of the camp. Maybe he's tired. Maybe he's got a lump. Maybe he's got a knock that he needs to heal.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, the point about this is
emotionally dragged at this point, and he's just ready to start fielding European interest.
Well, there's almost a year, right, before the Olympics. So there's no rush, I guess. If you didn't want to go, you can just say, hey, dude, I need a break. It was a long fucking season. We just lost in the playoffs. I need a break.
I mean, they already know how he plays, and he's played with a large number of the people here. I mean, he was instrumental with the qualifications, quite frankly. It's just if he wants to take a camp off, he can take a camp off if that's the case.
Yeah, because there's 8 months of camp to go before the Olympics, right? So I don't know how many windows that's going to be. Yeah, I heard his back from carrying the team. Yeah, listen, he was great. I watched that game last night, and he was fabulous. So the header was great, smart, and yeah, I mean, I know I've been critical of him because I've been asking for him to do that. I've been saying this guy is really good, but he's not good every game. Now he's good almost every game. So now you're like, okay, there's the consistency we were looking for. And that the playoffs really spoke to me, this playoff run by Luna. That said, this is a kid that's ready to take the next step forward. So we'll see. But boy, I mean, a lot of teams might look at him and go, his body shape is not a traditional body style.
every time I watch him, I'm like, man, how does he work the entire game, man? How does that happen? He doesn't look like he should be out there the entire game.
He's like a Blanco, but like 6 inches shorter, right? Because Guatemala Blanco sort of had that same body shape, but he was taller. He's a bigger mammal, whereas Luna is the same body shape but much shorter and tied to the ground. So anyhow, we'll see. We'll see how it works out. See if he gets signed. See if somebody wants to bring him into Europe and give him an opportunity.
That's another thing too. Maybe he's fielding interest and just wants to rest and talk, to do negotiations and whatnot. Although this is his first season, so I mean, I don't know. We'll see what interest is being drawn there.
He looked pretty emotionally spent after that game.
Yeah,
he was crying like crazy, and like a bunch of guys trying to console him. So
it'd be interesting to see the interest drawn to the players who were left off the camp. Because I mean, I know Guti has like 1 year left on his contract.
Yep.
So I mean, if Chicago's not actively shopping his ass around,
they're stupid as fuck if they're not.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, we'll just keep him and maybe we'll sign him again. No, it's not gonna happen. I'm sorry.
Well, that's gonna be up to Guti and his agent, right? Like, and I don't think
again? That'll never happen.
No, I don't think based on what we know that Guti wants to stay. I think he wants his shot at Europe too. So we'll see how that works out. I think he's perfectly capable of going over there.
He's got a couple of years under his belt at this point. He's ready to move, and what he did with Chicago was great. He needs to make the step forward. I mean, another year wouldn't be bad for him, but
it'd be bad for Chicago.
Bad for Chicago, yeah. It'd be another year would mean that he's a free agent. So
exactly. So yeah, not good for him there. Are we going to go over this roster? Actually, this Olympic.
Probably just over, yeah.
We'll go over it real quick. I mean, the goalkeepers aren't surprising.
No,
so.
Especially with Slovenia, his national team at that point it has to be Brady,
right?
And,
I guess coaching maybe you might think maybe him, but no, this is fine. This will work. There's time for coaching to still get on this team. I don't know Campbell from a hole in the wall. Same thing with Harriel. John Tolkien. Yeah, we were kind of thinking this might where he might end up. Maximilian Dietz is a fucking locked-in starter for Greuther Fürth. There's lots of talk in Germany already. Lots of teams that want him in the Bundesliga. They see him as one of the most promising young center backs in the league. He's big. He's powerful. He's strong. He can pass. This guy is blossoming all of a sudden. It was like 2 years ago, he went on a growth spurt, not only as a human being, but physically. Maximilian Dietz grew. And I think that's made a difference because he's been able to physically compete with grown-ups now, even though he's so young. Brian Reynolds, Westerlo, okay. Yeah, not surprising. Jonathan Tompkinson, kind of sad that Tompkinson isn't getting the time we thought he might this season. But the loan to Bradford City isn't hurting him, I guess. He wasn't a starter right away there at Bradford City either. So I haven't looked recently at how much time he's getting, but I hope it's a lot. And then coaching is hurt, I think, which is why he's not at the U17 World Cup. I think you might be right about that, BMR. I haven't looked into his status recently, but it's somebody a lot of people are talking about. And then midfielders.
Jack brings up a great point. I wonder how many Dietz nuts comments he gets. Maximilian.
I mean, if I didn't think about it, I don't know.
Yeah, it's there for it's low hanging fruit.
Max Dietz nuts. He does go by Max, by the way, not Maximilian.
Yeah.
All right.
It's easier to say.
Right. Joshua Atencio. Fine. Gianluca Busio and Tanner Tessman. Kind of surprised that Venezia is like, go ahead, have him. Go ahead. Have him for a couple
That would have been vitally important to our promotion campaign, but what's an extra couple games here?
I mean, we know Testament starts for us at center midfield every single game, but go ahead. If they get injured, no problem. No big deal. Surprise, as close as Venezia are to the promotion zone, that they would let both of them go because Bucio's been scoring lately and playing. So, all right, well, I hope they don't get hurt. Benjamin Kromashi, yeah, that wasn't surprising. No one's surprised by that based on him being picked for the big boy team. Jack McGlynn, yeah, okay, that's cool. I don't know. I'm not going to say any of these players don't belong there. None of them
Did you bring up
suck.
Cole Bassett already?
I didn't mention Cole Bassett, did I? As far as Colorado goes, Cole Bassett's like one of their best players. So he's a good young player. I'm surprised he's still there. And not off at Europe. But
he was off of Europe and he came
back.
So, he at this point, Derek MLS has him in their grips.
Yeah.
They're a nice 3-2 contract. I guarantee you he's here until he's 28.
I would have liked to see a CAM in here, but we're not going to get one, right? We already mentioned that. I don't think we're going to see a 10 play for our youth squads because based on the rhetoric that we get from U.S. Soccer, all the youth teams must play the same formation and system. It's like watching the U17s last night set up in a 4-3-3. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Of the batch we're seeing here, who would be our offensive options? Is it Kromashi and McGlynn?
Kromashi, yeah, probably.
I've seen enough of Busio to know he can be offensive. Can be.
Yeah, he's not. He's not a field general.
Yeah.
And actually, if you want to talk about field generals, Tanner Tessman plays that role more often for Venezia than fucking Busio does.
When we were talking about Al earlier with Pepe versus Hodge, but I know Al's been a big Tessman pro. Yeah. So he's been watching a lot of those games, talking about it. He's one that I go to bone up on Tessman's game at this point.
I've been watching some Sounders games. I don't ever remember seeing Joshua Atencio. Does he play for them? Yeah, I haven't watched much.
No.
I just watched the last playoff game. Is he an offensive kind of minded player? I don't know. But anyhow, it's hard for me. I don't know all these players. I haven't researched, especially only the ones overseas, like Maximilian Dietz. I know him. I know Tessman. I know Busio. But I don't do enough research on the up-and-coming MLS players, young players. Do some,
unless they're playing consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm with you on that. Quite frankly.
So, I would have liked to see Luna here. Obviously, we heard that Luna may not have wanted to go. Augustine Anello, very nice to see him here. Taylor Booth, we don't know if he's actually going to make the team because he just picked up an injury again. Might be just a knock. I don't know. But he's not in the greatest form. I can tell you that much. But makes sense that he gets on the roster, right?
Yeah.
Gomez, just scored a goal for Braunschweig. So we'll see.
We're bottoming the league right now?
Yes, they're still near the bottom. I think they were at bottom, but they just won. So maybe they might not be at the fucking bottom, total bottom for Bundesliga 2. Bernard Kamungo. If an FC Dallas guy didn't get in this roster, it would be odd.
What? Yeah.
Be shocked. Cade Cowell. We've seen plenty of him. Maybe he's just there because he's going to make the team anyhow, and we need to start building chemistry. And I know almost nothing about Esmir Bajar.
I just know what he did
Tarovic
at the last window, last U23 window.
That's not a lot.
That was limited to C2. I know he scored his goal, and the goal was nice, but
I don't remember him playing for the Revs much, though. And if I'm wrong, let me know. But I've only watched a handful of Revs games this season, so I wouldn't know. So I haven't looked him up. Anyhow, hard to complain here. I don't know who got left out. Utrecht congratulated him on the call-up on Twitter, so perhaps he's fine. Good. Maybe it's just a small knock then. Yeah, I was kind of wondering. He was limping a little. I didn't think it looked that serious, but then there were other reports, people on Twitter saying he's injured. I think even Tact in his report said he was injured. And I was like, it didn't look that bad, but okay. All right, so that's the.
What do you? What they're playing? They're playing Iran and Morocco. It looks like.
Yeah, I think so.
How do you think this team's going to do?
Well, they're friendlies. Kind of hard to say. They should win both games, right? No, not against Spain, but they should be competitive. I would think. And
they're not playing Spain.
Who did we say again?
It's Iran and Morocco.
Iran and Morocco.
Or is that Iraq? Everybody's calling it's Iraq, apparently. That was Iraq.
Okay, Iraq. I only saw the little flags, so they're too tiny to determine what they were. So Iraq, yeah, then we should beat Iraq for sure. Morocco, that'll be tougher, you would think. But again, I wouldn't expect anything too exciting. I would expect standard Berhalter 4-3-3. I know that Marko Mitrovic is the coach, but he's not really allowed to fuck around a lot. That's why we've lost some of our other coaches who left, because they were told how to play. They were told how to set up. They were told what system they were going to use. And if you don't like it, get the fuck out. And we've lost good youth coaches because of that in the past, like when they were all told to move to Chicago. And of course, now the base isn't even in Chicago anymore. So, but they weren't allowed to do what they wanted to do. Who was the guy who went and coached Houston and failed? I just forgot his name.
Ramos.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Ramos was a good example of one of the guys that said, fuck this job. Because they came and they told him, you got to play this way, you got to set up this way, and you got to use this system. And all the youth teams are going to use it, the women as well, and you don't have any choice in the matter. And Tab Ramos just said, fuck you, and left. And he's probably one of the best youth coaches we had. So don't be surprised when you watch the U17s and the U23s, and we're playing the standard Berhalter 4-3-3 system. And that's gets us to the U17 game. Did we beat Korea 3-1?
We did, officially, yes.
Yes, we did. Did we outplay Korea? No, they outplayed us. They outplayed us. They had 2 balls off the bar in the first half. They should have been up 3-0 going after the first half. We somehow survived, or 3-1. We somehow survived, and we ended up winning that game. But was it impressive to watch? No. Was it like watching Berhalter ball? Yes. Was it painful to watch through stretches? Yeah, because we're getting our asses handed to us. So we squeaked through that one, and it happens. It wasn't fun to watch. I don't know who else watched it, but
I was up in Michigan at the time, and what I saw on Twitter and then your description recently just led me to think of the U23 game that was against Japan.
Mm-hmm.
We got done with the show, and that game was on.
Yep.
And I stayed up until midnight to watch the first half.
Yep.
And I texted you and I said, dude, fuck this. I'm going to bed.
Right.
And we ended up winning something like what was it, like 4-1
I don't remember.
or something like that?
Yeah.
It was something ridiculous. Like it was like 2-1 at halftime, and then we won 4-1 or something like that.
Right. I think that when you're looking at the youth teams, right, what you're looking for is a system that allows them to be more creative. You're not looking for a super conservative system. Is it important that we win the games? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'm glad we won the game. I would have liked to win the game, though, with watching some of our youth players, and maybe they're not good enough. I don't know. Maybe that's why we're playing so conservatively at times. But we're still lost in a lot of ways in the final third. But then we allowed them to dominate the ball for huge chunks of that game. South Korea were up our fucking assholes, dude. Watching U.S. men's national team Twitter want to call up Berchimus to the senior team already was funny. Is that how you pronounce that? Berchimus? I don't remember. Yeah, it's ridiculous. These U17 guys are nowhere near. And that, you know what was funny? When I turned on the game to watch it, I thought, wow, this is a huge field. And then it occurred to me, no, this is a normal size field. These are just smaller people.
Little people playing.
These are smaller guys playing that I'm used to watching. So it wasn't just the field. So these guys are physically nowhere near there yet.
So the kid's 15 years old.
Oh, I know what kid he's talking about now.
And then John goes, legit 15 or afraid to do 15?
Yeah. Okay.
That kid definitely didn't look like a kid, man. I'm not saying that he's not 15. I'm just saying.
You look like a kid to me. Bergamus, he's a small little guy.
Size. Yeah.
Yeah, the second goal, I mean, that was some of the worst defending I have ever seen in my life by a team. I don't know what that center back from Korea was thinking, or maybe it was just defending midfielder, but dude, what are you fucking doing? He just let the ball go by him. He totally whiffed on it, and it ended up right back to him, and he scored. That's the goal in the 73rd minute. It was a gift of a goal. And then, God, I guess the fucking goalkeeper, like, was he half fucking asleep? Anyhow, good for the goal. I'm glad that basically closed out the game in a game where we played long stretches without possession and we're under attack. And I lost count on the number of corners that Korea took that on that game. So maybe it wasn't as many as I thought. I was tired. Honestly, the tournaments are for putting the players in the window shop to sell on and to integrate dual nats into our setup. Almost 100% of their development will happen after their clubs. No, you're absolutely right.
Agreed.
That is where development happens. Like all these people talking about, oh, well, we got to call them up. We got to call this guy up and help develop him. No, dude. Now, in Berhalter's system, you got to call people up to help integrate them into the system because it's so difficult, according to the players, to figure out Gregg's system.
Windows. Yep.
3 windows is what we've been told. Balogun talked about it too. He's like, hey, I don't know how I fit in yet. It's going to take me a while. And that was after 2 games. So
I guess ultimately my take with like the youth tournaments and stuff like that, I want to see the U.S. win. I want to see them do well. I do want to see them show some level of being competitive and some kind of I don't know.
I want to see the next Reina
do well. Yeah,
I'm looking for the next Pulisic.
That's fun cup with him in there. But yeah, it's absolutely as Matthew mentioned there. In the end, the end result is really just to showcase the kids, shop them around. Because what ends up happening is if you don't make the World Cup, or if don't make, or if we don't have a very poor performance, then all of a sudden they just languish away in MLS, and all of a sudden we have a bunch of 24 to 25-year-old players that aren't getting scouted by Europe anymore.
Well, there were 13 players from MLS. The guys that, what's the name of the Liverpool kid? Anyhow, I don't know. I maybe that is the only reason, but I think a part of it is also to find the next Josh Sargent, to find the next quality player, and I guess in many ways to get to Europe. So in that case, you might be right because Sargent did leave for Europe after the U17 tournament and the youth Figueroa. Thank you, Spencer. Some of the guys are already in Europe, I guess is my point. So in their case, they're not being called up to shop them really because they're already bought. And their development's going to happen with their club teams. So it's really on their club teams to develop them, to sell them, not really the national team, right? It might be to help them get visibility to make that move. Anyhow, I think the funny part about this is one of the announcers is like, no, the only time the United States isn't qualified for a U17 World Cup was in 2013. And I thought, I think I know what team he's talking about because all those guys right now would be in their 27, 26 years old, right? That's about how old they'd be right now, which really would be 26, 27, 28. Those should be the guys should be making up the bulk of what is the U.S. men's national team. Not a bunch of early 20 guys in their early 20s because we had that massive black hole gap of development. And then so I went and checked it out. And I'm like, I didn't know who half these dudes were. Like, if you go over where Jeff Caldwell is now, if you just hover over him, USL.
It's Colorado Springs Switchbacks.
This is the team that failed to qualify at a CONCACAF for the U17 World Cup. And it all makes sense. Let's hover over the next one. Well, we don't need you to. Yeah, Evan Laura. Who the fuck is he?
Plays as a goalkeeper for FC Cincinnati. You don't know who he is?
I've never heard of him. Connor Donovan. Who's fucking Connor Donovan? Sacramento Republic,
Sacramento.
USL. Justin Glad we know. Shaquille Moore we know. I mean, decent MLS guys, not world beaters, not even able to play in a top 5 league.
Is an American soccer player who plays as a defender.
He's retired. Remember when this guy was huge? He's going to be the next big thing. He plays for Flower City Union in Nisa. Holy shit. Peter Schupp, so useless. He doesn't even have a wiki page.
I was going to say, why is that red? I didn't click on him.
Yeah. Corey Baird, we know where he is. He's a good, solid MLS player. All right.
Yeah.
Solid player for Houston Dynamo. Junior Flores, retired.
Free agent.
He hasn't had a club for like 5 years. He's done.
God, I remember his name too, man.
Well, he was injured. He was with Dortmund for a while.
Yeah, I remember Flores.
Yeah. Oh, it says it. He was Dortmund for a while, right over there.
During the World Cup, that's where he's at. Yep, I remember Flores.
He was going to be huge. Mostly injuries for him. Ended his career. Christopher Lima, never heard of him.
Hey, he plays for San Antonio. You didn't know that?
Nope. This is to say, this is not actually abnormal that a lot of players don't end up contributing to the U.S. men's national team. But in this case, no one did. Joel Sonora? No. Elijah Martin? No. Tyler Turner? Who the fuck is he? St. Louis Ambush in the Major Arena Soccer League? We remember Mukwele. Everybody thought, oh, yeah, this guy's...
Rubio.
Yep. He doesn't play for us at all. He plays for his
Guatemala.
Mukwele, Akali. Remember, everybody thought, oh, man, he's in Spain. He's going to be great. No. League One. Ahinga Salamani. No clue where that guy is. Oh, the Canadian Premier League, I think.
A Canadian club, Valor FC.
They must be in the Canadian Premier
Has to
League.
be, yeah.
Alan Wynn. Beeman United. Oh,
they messed it up. That B is supposed to be an S.
Okay. What? Seaman United FC. So, is there any more? That's it, right?
That's it.
You couldn't paint a picture of a team that was bound for mediocrity than this team. Either we didn't know what we were doing back then, or this was really the best we had, and none of them really worked out. Well, who are all the 26 and 27-year-olds in our current team? There are not a whole lot of them. And none of them from this group at all. Shaquille Moore is the only one that really made any kind of contribution out of this group to the U.S. national team. And most people don't believe he deserved to do that.
I'm curious now. See if I can get a lineup here, a roster.
Our current roster and their age groups. Matt Turner didn't become...
Nope. Check this out. This is literally the next World Cup. This is 2015. And who do you have here?
Pulisic,
Oh, that's the
Olasunde.
goalkeeper. That's
Okay.
cousin, right?
Yep. Olasunde didn't work out. Nelson didn't work out. Trusty did. Arielano, nope. Calvillo, nope. Haji Wright, kind of. We'll see. Gallardo, nope. Christian Pulisic, yes. Perez plays for El Salvador. Zendejas did sort of, work out. We'll see how that goes.
De La Torre.
Yep. And Jesus.
Tyler Adams, I'm assuming.
Yep. Vasquez. I'm assuming that's Vasquez. Brian, maybe? We don't know.
See what happens if I click on him.
Brandon, not Brian.
Yeah.
Brandon. Yeah. Okay, so they're a handful, but none of them outside of Pulisic and Adams really amounted to
Luca
a
De
hell
La
of
Torre.
being. Luca De La Torre. So 3 of them, right? But if you look at our current team and the roster, it's a lot of young dudes.
But
Not a whole guys in their late 20s.
But yeah, the current squad what you're talking about is two World Cup generations there, like youth World Cup generations.
Well, that's true. What I'm saying is most teams that have successful World Cup teams and go on to do something amazing in a World Cup, their average age of their team is around 26, 27 years old. Our team was the youngest team in the World Cup, last World Cup. And it's probably going to be
calm down, Turk.
It's probably going to be the youngest.
Squad.
It's probably going to be the youngest squad in the next World Cup too, or close to it. Even though we're putting 4 years on, because most of our guys were in their young 20s.
Weren't we the second youngest at the World Cup? Wasn't there another team that was younger?
The only reason that's not true is because of Matt Turner. Because he's so fucking old.
What about Ream?
I meant Ream. I meant Tim Ream, not Matt Turner. I'm sorry.
I mean, Turner was what, like 27?
Yeah.
28?
So it was Ream that skewed our score so dramatically that we went from the first youngest to the second.
So Ghana was the youngest, then U.S., then Ecuador.
Yeah. But we'll be pretty young. We won't be the youngest next World Cup, but we'll still be pretty fucking young next time.
I mean, it really just depends on who we fill in the ranks with. I mean, we lose Ream. I mean, we're at that point. We're already talking. God, what if Slonina takes over for Horvath? I mean,
yeah.
you could whittle that age down still, or keep it relatively the same.
Well, we don't want to. I mean, the point is that the best World Cup teams, our average age is around 26, 27. But we barely have any 26 or 27-year-olds now in our team. Matt Turner's 27 or 28.
What's CCV? Where's he at?
No, he's still, I would guess he's around 23, 24 right now. I don't know. Let's bring up the team because the recent call-up is on Wikipedia and has all their ages on it. Let's see how many 27, 28, 29-year-olds are on that team, which are usually the core best players you have on your team at any given time as a squad.
Players.
Because that's when most of your players are at their best, between the ages of 26 and 29. And then after 29, it starts to fade off.
CCV is 25 or 26. It looks like people are saying 26. It looks like.
Here we go.
Regardless. Okay, it didn't go down.
Matt Turner's 29. Ethan Horvath's 28, but they're not. So Matt Turner so far, because Ethan Horvath ain't playing. And then we got Ream. That one's obvious. Robinson's about 26 now. Wow. Miles, if you want to count him as definitely locked in for the next World Cup, I wouldn't. Richards, 23. Cameron Carter-Vickers just under the 26 mark I'm looking for. Scally's 20. Lund's 21. Jesus Christ. So Tim Ream's way past the the prime years that I'm looking for right now. Weston McKennie, just under the 26, then 20, 21, 25, 21, 20, 24. Young, 23, 20, 25, 22, 20. Where are all the 26 and 27, 28-year-olds and 29-year-olds? They just start there. And that would be...
We just looked at that World Cup. I mean, I can tell you why there are none. We couldn't name a single player on that 2013 squad.
But here's the good thing. Here's the good news of all my bitching. A lot of those kids are going to be right in that prime age when we play in 2026. They're all going to be in what you would call the prime years of their career. And if they all continue doing what they're doing now and playing in top 5 leagues and getting the kind of wisdom that you gain from playing, then we will have the first time for a while a prime fucking aged team for competing in a World Cup. Not a bunch of fucking 30-year-olds or a bunch of fucking young 20-year-olds like last World Cup. It will be prime age kids at prime peak. So that's the good news. It's the good news.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the U17s. What else we got tonight?
We did the U23s. Now we're up to the seniors, Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, yeah.
I guess the big news.
Roster update. Cardoso has withdrawn. Diagnosed with a right ankle injury prior to departure. Well, that's too bad because he just had one of the worst games of the season for himself and his team at International this weekend, and he got injured doing it. That sucks. So Maloney, well, anyhow, that's what this person says, right? You could see him.
Big from Maloney, yeah.
You could see him pick up the injury over the weekend. Happened sometime in the second half versus Palmeiras. That's Tack's fault because that's his team. Hope he heals up quickly. Now we'll be getting lots of Maloney unless Gregg opts to play Wes Musa in a double pivot behind Gio and behind Gio versus T&T. Please, Cranks. Yes.
Yes. I think that would have been the starting lineup even if Johnny was there.
I see so many people saying that he's going to play out wide. And I get why they're saying he's going to play out wide because of Gregg. But I have a premonition that Gregg's not going to pull a complete moron here. And he's going to play a double pivot with fucking Reina as the central fucking field general, as a center attacking midfielder, a 10 for this game. I really think he's going to do it. Why do I have no evidence? I have no evidence, just an inclination. I think he's going to do it.
When you started saying premonition and stuff like that, the only thing that came in my mind was I'm sure you've seen the movie because this would have been the time frame of right around probably when you were having kids. But did you guys ever watch the movie Hook?
The movie what?
Hook?
No.
Robin Williams?
Oh, yeah.
So there's a part where Smead is talking to Captain Hook, and he's like, I just had an apostrophe. And then he's like, I think you mean an epiphany. He goes, lightning just struck my brain. Ouch, that must have hurt. You know?
Okay.
So
An apostrophe.
Like, yeah. So that was when you said, like, I have a premonition, all I could think of was, like, I just had an apostrophe.
Yeah. Now, actually, one of the root words of apostrophe is apostle. There's some connection between the two words. I don't know what they are. But I do think that Gregg really doesn't have much choice here. He's got to play the 4-2-3-1 in the first game. And I disagree with Pete. This is not the game to play a 3-2-3-2. This is not the game to fuck around with a 3-5-2. It's just not. Let's just get it done and kick their ass and have a 6-0 lead. So when we go to Trinidad and Tobago, we can fuck around and do whatever the fuck we want. That's when you do it.
And we'll pull up the roster here in just a second. And looking at the roster, we certainly can fuck around with our system. But let's get that lead, like you said. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm 100% agreeing with you here. So David D brings up another quote where Captain Hook threatens to shoot himself. And he's like, don't you dare try to stop me, Smead. Don't you dare try to stop me.
I don't know how you fuckers remember all these fucking parts of these movies.
Stop me, Speed. Stop me. So it's like, I just had an apostrophe, Derek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It'd be hysterical if, say, Grant Tuberville was able to take that scene and substitute Gregg's face for Captain Hook, and then substitute Smead's face with like BJ. He's like, I'm thinking about playing Reina out wide. Don't you dare try to stop me, BJ.
I'm just telling you, like 5% of the people.
Hysterical.
5% of the people who saw it would have no fucking clue what you were talking about. Because Hook is not like, it's not like this major movie people watch multiple times. It's not like Groundhog Day.
I would say it was massive. And the vast majority of the 119 people watching right now, it would have been a major flick in their ute.
How many times you watch it? It's not Groundhog Day. You watch Groundhog Day multiple times.
Sure, 100%. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Who watched Hook multiple times? Like hundreds of times. Or 20s of times.
You don't need to watch a movie hundreds of times in order to memorize certain lines.
I do.
Derek, is there music out there that you listen to that you've listened to once or twice and you know a lot of what they said, what they sang about, maybe even sing a little bit of it too?
Yeah.
Maybe even play a little bit on the guitar, piano, whatever.
But I'm a
Oh, no,
musician. That's a little different.
and there are a lot of us who enjoy entertainment and movies, and we just memorize shit like that. Just because it's not your shtick doesn't mean it's not other people's shtick.
There are certain movies I could tell you lines from, but fucking Hook isn't one of them. That's a movie I took my kids to watch. We watch that movie, we go home, that's out of my brain. I don't ever think about it again. But there are other movies I watch. Let's say Saving Private Ryan. I'm going to remember a lot of that because to me, that was a really emotionally impacted movie. Hook did nothing for me. I mean, it was entertaining, but
Julia Roberts's Tinkerbell. Hook is definitely beloved. Wrong. Any 90s kid saw it a bunch of times.
I was in college in the fucking
Lamar
90s.
says, shut your mouth, Hooker. Hook was amazing.
I was in college in the 90s. God damn it. That was not interesting to me at that time. Anyhow, I didn't have kids until later. And by the time they were watching that shit on VHS. All right.
Yeah. I'm sure they watched it more than once, too.
A lot of people are like, what's VHS? It was weird when I moved out of my house, moved here. I had like a bunch of kids' movies all on VHS. And then underneath, a bunch of kids' movies all on DVD. Yeah, I just threw them all away because who has a DVD player? Who has a VHS player anymore? Well, they might have a DVD player, right?
I've got a DVD player. Yeah, I still have physical media, so this is branching off a bit. But the way that streaming services now are able to go in and alter the movie, like remove scenes, completely delete segments that may not necessarily be deemed PC in today's culture.
Mm-hmm.
I say fuck that, and I will absolutely keep my physical media.
Well,
I still stream and shit like that, but I still stream and I have my physical media. Not VHS, I've got DVDs, and at some point I'm sure there's going to be another version of physical media that's going to make DVDs go the way of the dodo. I mean, I know there's 4K and all that shit too, but
I say fuck that to Maloney starting is a part of a 3 in the middle. Why would you do that? The dude's played one game with us. I don't know. Unless you're looking to build chemistry. Other than that, I see no reason to not play a double pivot here. So I hope that's what we do. And there's no reason necessarily to also play Dest as a right back when you have fucking Scally. So let's move Dest up into the right wing spot.
Yeah. I agree with you in the sense that I want to just rack up the scoring in Austin. Yeah. I suspect that some of our standard midfielders will get subbed out early, and then if we have such a huge lead going into the away match, you might see somebody like a Maloney start.
Yeah, or coming off the bench with 20 minutes to go, 30 minutes to go in the first game.
In the first game, yes.
I don't think he's starting. I mean, the guys have played enough to even know Gregg's system according to other players.
But that's also beside the point, because if you're going to start your strongest 11, there's no way you're not playing Musa, McKinney, and Reyna at that point, unless Berhalter pulls a Berhalter and plays Reyna out wide.
Well, again, there were other people that posted saying it's okay if he starts out wide, he'll just cut in. That still allows, if you start him out on one wing or the other, usually going to be the right, you're still allowing the other team to find ways to corner him.
Isolate him out there, yep.
It doesn't matter if he cuts in, they can still corner him out there. And he can cut in if he wants. But who is transitioning the ball from the middle 3 to Reyna? Who's got
Weston.
the skills? You could use Tillman maybe. If you convinced me that Tillman would be the good link, then fine. I think that would be fine. But again, Tillman doesn't have a whole lot of time playing on the pitch with the U.S. men's national team. And I would just dare to say that Reyna has a lot more chemistry with Musa and McKinney than Tillman does. And that he has to be the link. So if you want to throw a guy out wide who can cut in, maybe that's Tillman. And that way, well, whatever way you slice it, I don't think there's a way to get rid of Aronson playing out wide. I think he's going to play one of the two, unfortunately. And that's a massive drop off from Pulisic.
Well, as far as the starting position, I mean, you could, in theory, if Berhalter actually watches our show or watches Pete's show and starts Dest out for Weah, then all you have to do is say start like Paredes out left. Instead.
Exactly. Or you could put Tillman out left so he could use, or right. You could put Dest out on left wing so he could cut in on his right foot and shoot. Right. So you could put Dest on the left wing, Tillman on the right wing. They're both inverted. And then you got, of course, Balogun up top, Reyna right behind Balogun. And you got the double pivot. And then the back four, no need to discuss there. We've already talked about that.
Regardless if it's Balogun or if it's Pepe, both strikers want Reyna behind him. They don't want him out wide. They want him behind him. He's gonna break apart. He's gonna split the seams. And that's where both of those strikers are gonna score goals.
And if you're playing Scally at right back, that gives Dest the freedom on the wing, either one, if you want to play on either one, to do what Dest does well, which is beat motherfuckers and make these tight little passes, triangles. So it sets him free. And that way you don't have to start Aronson. You don't. You've got the right back covered. Scally is absolutely capable of playing the right back. And it puts the best players that we have currently on the pitch. I mean, so why would you want to play Aronson if you didn't have to right now? He's in poor form. Okay, it's just Trinidad and Tobago. I get it. We should be able to beat them with our backup team.
I don't know. Take a look at this squad, man. I don't know if we can beat them.
Can you blow that up any bigger?
It's really faint font. So
it is. There we go. Defense force. Let's just look at the teams they play for.
Yeah.
Denzi Smith. Yavape College. Are you serious? Here, somebody actually plays in a real league. The guy plays in Costa Rica for Cartagena. God, I have a hard time pronouncing that. Then right back to Central Valley Fuego. San Antonio. There's a guy. That's Shannon Gomez. Plays on a real team. Somebody look out for it. Justin Garcia. Defense force. Russell La Horqueta Rangers. Wherever the fuck that is. Tiger Tanks Club Sando.
Come on. I mean,
yeah.
What's the Go Eagles or whatever? You know, you had the what was the Sheriff FC or whatever.
Yeah, that's.
But now you have Tiger Tanks Club.
Yeah, I guess.
Tiger Tanks. That sounds like a under 5 team, under 5 division.
Is it some sort
Tiger Tanks?
Is it inspired by the Tiger Tanks from World War II?
Maybe.
I mean, where is that from? Villar de Paredes, Portugal.
You know, okay.
Cartagenes, thank you, VMR. Too much of this.
The funny thing is, I know that, and this is a movie right up your age, Elliot, at least irrespective.
No more movie references.
Is Romance in the Stone.
I know that movie.
Cartagenes.
I know the song. I'm romance in the stone. Do 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 do. Every a cold heart alone. Every night and every day. It's the same guy who wrote I'm gonna get down to Electric Avenue. And then you make it higher. Who was that? Somebody's got to know that fucking song.
We'll leave it up to the chat to find out. Let's continue naming these teams.
Okay, scroll down. We finished the defenders. This is pathetic so far. AC Port of Spain. St. Johnstone. Are St. Johnstone still in the top, or they are in the second division in Scotland? I can't remember. Doesn't matter. At least he plays in Scotland.
Yeah.
Oakland Roots. Okay, USL stuff there. Noah Powder plays for North Colorado Hailstorm. Is that the women's team? Is that what it's called, North Colorado? Because Colorado. And then I'm supposed to pronounce Cartagenes correct.
One of the 50 states compared to Costa Rican team.
Yes. Andre Rampersad plays for the Wanderers in the Canadian Premier League.
Like the English. Oh no, not them. Sorry.
Yeah, Christian Lehem, which plays for Eskilstuna in Sweden. It's a step up from some of these teams. And then this guy plays for Mount Pleasant in Jamaica. Okay, back to Defense Force. Which, by the way, it's not a horrible team. I'm not saying they're a horrible team.
So Larry's saying Defense Force is a good team.
Defense Force has made some runs before in
it's another Tiger Tanks.
CONCACAF. Malcolm Shaw, again, another Canadian Premier League player. Tiger Tanks guy, again. Levi Garcia. Hey, there's a real team. AEK Athens. That's a fucking real, actual team. I'm guessing he's the best player on this team. And then Mount Pleasant, Jamaica, and then Miami FC. Okay. USL, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, I mean, you look at that on paper. Obviously, we should wipe this team, the floor with this team, but we can't get ahead of ourselves, which is why I keep saying, play the best fucking lineup we got. Let's crush this team.
I'd hate to bring up the 2018 World Cup qualifying all over again.
Oh boy!
Hell, that final match, we basically played a semi-pro, practically amateur team.
Yeah,
we lost.
Same thing. Yeah,
lost.
Mm-hmm.
So don't. I mean, looking at paper is always the worst because you look at it and go like, oh, we should be this team. We should have the problem here. But then soccer. Shit's gonna happen.
Yep.
You might as well come out full force in Austin.
Yep.
Run the score up, run it up,
and then do whatever the fuck you want in the second game.
It's gonna happen.
If you're up 6-0 in aggregate, then you can go fucking out there and do whatever you want. All right.
Yeah.
But let's get 5-0, 6-0 up. Larry, where'd you get that list from? I think from you, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Larry.
Larry sent it our way.
I wouldn't have known it was you, Larry, because I mean, unlike Brett, I don't know who is who on Twitter. I don't know. So, but I appreciate it. I think I hearted your link.
You commented. You said like LOL or something like that too.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You said something in response.
Right. So anyhow, this is what we're going up against, folks. So yes, we should win, but no, we should not take it for granted. And yes, we should play the best fucking team we can field. And and that doesn't mean that Aronson needs to play when we can finagle things around. You move Dest up to one of the wing spots. And let Scally play right back and let Dest do his business on this team, right? That's what you do. And then you play Reyna as a center attacking midfielder. You don't stop doing what you started with Reyna. You continue to do. You do not push him out wide. Okay, will it matter if you play him out of position or play him out in the wing? Probably not. We're still going to win the game. But I'd rather win the game 5-0 than 3-0, right? Let's win it 5-0, not 3-0 or 2-0. Let's win it 5-0. That's what I think. I want to get way out ahead so we can go back to Cuba, go back to Trinidad and Tobago, and not have to worry about anything, any fluke shit happening. If we're only up 2-0 going back to Cuba, I'm still a little concerned. In fact, I'm really concerned that we only won the game 2-0. If you want to win the game 2-0, then you start Aronson. Or you start Zendejas, and you start a bunch of guys that aren't our best players. You play the best team possible. That's all I'm saying. All right. I think that's all.
I'm quickly trying to find a roster from the 2017 match with the actual team names, but I can't find it that quickly. If I had time to look it up, because somebody asked if the 2017 team was that much better. But I
no, it wasn't. The difference was our team now is a lot better.
Yeah.
Fluke shit should not happen. Weird shit should not happen. We should be up 4-0 at halftime. Honestly, 4-0 at halftime.
We just ran a score up on Ghana. We should be able to take this shit.
You would think. One would think that is the case. All right, that's going to do it for tonight. We will be back Thursday. Put that on your calendar. We will be here at 8:30 on Thursday to start coverage of the game. And we will be doing that coverage live. We will provide a clock so we can all get on the same time. We'll find a way to do that so we're all watching the game at the same, not exact seconds, but we don't want to be 30 seconds off. We don't want you motherfuckers telling us the goal was just scored 30 seconds before we get to see it. So we want to all try to be on the same time. So we'll give a countdown.
Derek and I are gonna
sync
sync up the times, and then at that point, you guys are on your own. I mean, if you want to sync up too, you're more than certain to.
Well, we'll give them a way to sync up. We'll give them a countdown at some point right before the game starts, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we sync up during the pre-match, I mean, I guess it depends if people want to sit there and pause it for 15 seconds and then be behind other shit as well, just to listen to us at the same time.
Well, it's going to be really annoying watching our play-by-play 30 seconds behind. I mean, it really is, because we're not going to do it just like Pete and Tack. We're going to do some play-by-play, kind of Twellman style, but not like Twellman. We're going to do it our style, like a couple guys drinking, watching the game and calling the game, just like they used to do in the old broadcasts that they used to play early in the morning. They would have one fan from Newcastle and one fan from Manchester City or United watching the game and calling the game live. And they used to scream and yell at each other while the game was going on. It was fun to watch or fun to listen to while you watch the games. But that is like so early 2000s, late 1990s, watching the EPL on cable.
I suspect we'll be a little more vulgar than Pete and Tact.
That's fine, but we will call the game. AJ1410 199. Thank you, brother. Get Luna.
At left wing?
At left wing. I was right about Luna. Now watch Soto. I can't watch Soto. He doesn't play. He doesn't play for Klagenfurt, dude. He's yet to show up on the bench this season for them. So I can't, man. I can't. All right. We love all of you. Make sure you're here at 8:30.
Real quick there. Everybody, people were posting this, and I didn't quite get the Eddie Grant thing. Fumar, I know I saw Fumar post a number of times.
Eddie Grant. Eddie Grant was the bomb, man. We gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. If you haven't heard that song, go check it out. It's the bomb. It's fucking amazing. So, oh no! Anyhow, watch that, and then come here 8:30. Pete and Tack will be joining us at halftime, I believe, and for the post game. They're going to use their phones. And that's fine because they're going to be there live. So they're going to kind of give us the on-the-ground report of what they're seeing and feeling and what they saw and their experience. They're going to be there with Brett Oppenheim. And we wish we could have been there with them. But you know what? It gives us the opportunity to do what they usually do, which is cover the show, which we usually just let them do. They were pretty cool about it. They were like, you guys should do it. You should host the whole thing. We're like, fuck yeah, we'll do it. And so they'll be coming in. It'll be a big party, lots of drinking, lots of live coverage. Will Brett Oppenheim make a cameo? We haven't got a 100% on that, but he will be with Pete and Tack. So possible.
As long as he's not hitting on the waitress there.
We'll see about that. He might have a date right after the game, so we don't know. Until next time, make sure that you like and subscribe. And hey, tune in with us. Bring your stepsister. We're totally cool with it. We're totally open to it. You're not related. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. All right? So we'll see you Thursday. Until then, many kisses.
She's a trap, she's an unsung novel, turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line, or a phone call with or without wine.
That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm,
articulate and intelligent.
Gregg's a bitch.